On the sidelines of International Youth Day 2026, we've been having conversations with distinguished young people in their own respects. There are those young people who are more geared towards entrepreneurship and starting their businesses, but there are young people who want to be professionals in the health sector, sports, and in many other areas. And joining us for an extensive conversation on everything related to young professionals here in Guyana, I have with me, starting on my extreme left, the president of Junior Chamber International Guyana, Sir Gavin Thomas, registered pharmacist. That's correct, right? Yes. We have with us as well a representative from the Rotaract, Georgetown, Miss Marissa Ramsaru. I will skip to my extreme right, and we have a soon-to-be medical doctor, Mr. Nikhil Sankar, and of course, someone who we've seen and has flown the golden arrowhead extremely high over the last couple of weeks. Mr. Rickwan Noel, who is well decked out today with the things that he has done. These are really good stuff, man. This is from the Commonwealth Games and stuff, right?
COC.
From the COC. So we have an extensive panel, but I cannot skip and leave out the youngest person on our panel today. None other than the Minister of Labour and Manpower Planning, Keoma Griffith.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Nikhil, I want to start with you. You've been doing extensive work over the last maybe 4 or 5 years in med school. And we know that that requires a lot of years of study and sacrifice. What do you think helped you to decide that medicine was the direction?
So first of all, privileged to be here, Shaquan, but what I want to say is that I did not start out wanting to become a doctor. Really and truly, it was only until I was around 17 or 18 when I was wrapping up sixth form at QC, that is when I decided I wanted to become a doctor. Really and truly, I considered a multiplicity of careers. I considered law, I considered becoming, yes, a journalist, I considered writing, but what I did know, at the end of it all, I wanted to serve mankind. I wanted to be a son of the soil. And in my own personal life, a tragedy had happened. My father passed away from cancer. So I spent a lot of my formative years, not just in high school, but also also in healthcare facilities while he was receiving his care. And at some point I realized it dawned to me that medicine occurs at the junction of not just science, yes, but also empathy and public service. I realized that healthcare could be a way, not just as a tool for me to process that devastating loss, but at the same time to use it as a tool and as a meaningful way to help every single person, regardless of their background, to provide meaningful care, to provide solutions, and to see them all the way through to recovery.
Yeah. I want to do a quick poll. Raise your hand if what you're doing now is what you planned to do when you were young. Anybody? Nobody on the panel. So that's very interesting. Minister Griffith, you were an attorney at law before becoming minister. What does that say about how life can change in a blink of an eye, and how we young people should be prepared for those kinds of shifts?
Thank you for that question, Shaquan, and happy International Youth Day to all my Guyanese young people. Just like Nikhil, I didn't set out to be the minister when I was younger. I actually wanted to be a pilot. But that dream changed quickly. And then I knew that I wanted to serve the community, to serve my country in some way. And so for me, there were two choices, law or medicine. And like many people who didn't do medicine, I don't like numbers and I don't like blood. And so for me, it was law, and I didn't pursue law because of the nobility with the profession. I set out to do law because I felt like I'd be able to help people and to help my community and society. But what I've recognized with this transition is that much of the discipline that I learned as a lawyer and preparing cases for people, I'm able to employ that now. And so it goes back to discipline, being ready and ensuring that in whatever capacity you function in, you're able to bring value, and to make any rule, turn it into your own and to make it better. And so I'm happy for this opportunity. And just as I did as a lawyer, I wake up every day and I get to serve the people. And so that is the drive and the passion that allows me to do what I do.
Yeah, that makes me have to ask an interesting question, Panan. Sometimes you know when you have to switch, but there are also times where you have to know this is what I have to continue to do and I have to persevere through challenges. And Gavin, I want to hear your thoughts first on this. How do you think a young person can know whether to stay committed to a particular profession or it's time to switch?
All right, thank you for your question, Shaquan. Before I go, allow me to say Happy International Youth Day to all the youths of Guyana. So that's quite an interesting question. And if I should give you my backstory, so I'm a pharmacist as introduced. Just out of high school, I was privileged to be selected as a work study student. So that's where my journey started. And I met a friend on the first day and he was like, I hear pharmacy is nice. We should go there. When they asked me, where we want to go. And that's essentially how my career started. I mean, I know I wanted to do something in the medical field, preferably a doctor. But that's how my career started. So I then, during work studies, I was introduced to a program by the Ministry of Health, the Pharmacy Technician Program, which I did. I completed that 18 months program. I was licensed and I started to practice. But then I was like, I can't be a technician for the rest of my, my career. I need to be the boss. So I need to move higher. So just for context, I'm from the SC Cribble Coast and opportunities back then, I might look young, but I've been around the block, would have been a bit, limited minimum. So I was like, I need to push myself. So I tried to get into the university, of course, to do the degree program. When I started the university, it was my third attempt. The first time, I did not have a particular subject that I needed. The second time, because of work obligations, I was not released. And then that's when I questioned myself. Wow. I was like, because I did get the CXC subject that I required. I did get in a second time to university. And then it's like there were some challenges. Right. So I took a week. I actually had to withdraw from that program the second year. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Well, I'm a religious person. I did pray. I did think about it. I took like a week. And I decided I have to withdraw because of some challenges. And then I was thinking to myself, is this for me? Do I go forward? I did make a decision that year that next year I'm going to try. This is the third year I'm speaking about. And should I get into the university, should I still have these challenges, I'll make the sacrifice. If I do get in again, then this is for me. If not, I'll definitely consider switching my career. Yeah. Maybe something in the medical field, but not necessarily as a pharmacist. So that's an interesting question. You just need to know what you're willing to do, the sacrifices and commitment. And you just need to be passionate, young people. You need to be passionate. You must want to achieve certain things. Yeah. Have your goals, work towards it. Because I started there. And again, now I'm a registered practicing pharmacist for quite a few years now.
Anybody else wants to add to that? How do you know whether to switch or whether to stay on course, Marissa?
Hi. Two things. So one, Happy International Youth Day to all the youths in Guyana. And two, Shaquan pronounced my name incorrectly. It is Marissa Ramroop, not Ramsaroop.
I said Ramsaroop?
Yes, you did. I'm deeply hurt.
My sincere support.
Ramroop, Shaquan. Yeah. Do better.
Ramroop, yeah.
So yes. So I think while you have to have the passion, I think one thing that young people lack is to know that things are going to get hard. It will get hard. Nothing in life comes easy. And my profession is in HR. I'm in HR. I am the HR officer for Master Remittance. And having to deal with young people, having to have candidates come in, doing interviews. One thing I realized about young people, they do not have they don't want to push towards what they want. If they encounter a challenge, it's like, yeah, this is not for me. And sometimes you just need to have that push. A lot of times young people don't want to go through the course of things. And if you're interested in something, you want to do something, nothing in life comes easy. You're going to have issues. No matter where you go, no matter where you work, there are going to have challenges. Nobody will always like you. You will not always have friends. Things like that happen. But it's just a matter of knowing what you want and going for it. If it's what you want, stay the course. sometimes life takes you differently, but what if it takes you the right path? It's just a matter of staying course and true to what you want and pushing ahead no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I could add just my voice to that question, nothing is wrong with switching. Absolutely nothing is wrong with pursuing one field or sector and then, making a decision to change at some time later on. I think what is important as an individual is to ensure that when you switch, what you switch to aligns with your core values and your core goals. Which is why I was able to make such a smooth transition, because at the core of being the Minister of Labor, I get to serve the people of Guyana. And so while I served clients, I'm now able to serve communities or make policy. So as long as the core values align, I would absolutely advise anybody to make the switch.
Yeah, really, really important. Rick, I want to talk to you a little bit about sport. And we know that sport opens doors in different ways, opens for education and for many other things. Tell us a little bit about how you've been able to use sport as like a stepping stone or a catalyst towards all of the other things that you were able to achieve.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks for the question. Happy International Youth Day to all the Guyanese. I think that sport teaches you a lot of discipline. It teaches you how to manage your time, and I think that was something that that I did really well growing up, and I'm thankful for how I was brought up to do so. And I think that it just helps athletes, and both athletes and just people outside of swimming or any other sport. It teaches you how to be disciplined, manage your time, have hobbies outside of what you're doing. I think it's really important that we highlight that, having hobbies outside of what you do on a daily basis is important. And, for your own mental health's sake, I think it's really important that you have hobbies and you have that social time. And I think it's really good that every athlete or person deserves that.
Yeah, really, really, really important stuff. I want to talk about qualifications and practical skills here. People have qualification, and that's a great thing. And of course, Minister of Government has been pushing for people to get education in different ways. But there are some soft skills or some practical skills that people need as well. Gavin, starting with you, how has your organization, JCI, been able to try to help young people to couple their qualifications, their academic advancement, with those practical and soft skills that they need? And what are some of those that they need to be able to develop themselves professionally?
All right, good. So first of all, for those persons who might be looking and you're wondering what is JCI, or Junior Chamber International, like the name suggests, it's an international youth leadership development organization. We cater for young people between the ages of 18 to 40. Whenever somebody asks what we do in JCI, I like to share the mission, which starts to provide leadership development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. That summarizes what we do. And if you come as a prospective member or as a member in JCI, I think, and before I share that, one of the pull factors for me joining this organization is that our membership focus. We focus a lot on our membership and building the capacity. So this year I'm actually serving as the 2026 president for JCI, the local chapter that is in Guyana. And our members benefit from we have a lot of professional official JCI courses that we offer in things like networking, project management, communications. There's like 4 pillars of communication. How to simply host an effective meeting. That's a big course that we offer. And apart from the official JCI courses, we also offer we call non-official JCI courses. So throughout this year, we've been introducing new areas, relevant areas, emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence in the workplace. We've already this year, we proposed an administrative professional seminar. So we've been providing these leadership development opportunities for Guyanese. And again, it's not only limited to the members. You could come as a guest, you could come as a prospective member. But we've been providing that through JCI throughout decades. This year, we actually celebrated 62 years, our 62nd anniversary earlier this year. So since, we've been providing these opportunities for young people. And I listed some of those, but definitely emotional intelligence, teamwork, and we promote or push a lot of teamwork and team building, team dynamics. Because everything in JCI It's a committee. It's an NGO, let me stick that in there. So oftentimes we do, well, we don't call them fundraisers, but we call them projects. Why? Because there's a chairperson, there's a secretary, there's a PR, there's a whole committee that has to put together a proposal, a budget, a plan of action, bring it to the board approves, bring it to the General Assembly. So all this teaches our members these soft skills, and these skills to not only help them in JCI, but their workplace, at home, at their church, a social gathering. So project management is one of the big things that we also push for. So those are some of the skills: emotional intelligence, communication, teamwork, team dynamics, and the list can go on.
Miss Ramroop, you can tell us about what Rotaract is also offering, but also you're in HR. So you have to also tell us what are some of those things that you look for when you go in and hire a young person. You need to, you're looking for certain things. What are some of those things that you look for too?
Okay, so like Gavin would have spoke about JCI, let me tell you about Rotaract. So Rotaract is an NGO as well. It is for persons between the age of 18 to 35. It's basically inviting young persons to develop skills, to be a part of something bigger than yourself. One of the mantra that we say is service above self. So you'd give back to your community. One of the reasons I joined Rotaract, it was volunteerism. I am big on giving back to persons. I am big on, investing in young people, investing in our country. So that's one of the reasons I joined Rotaract. And Rotaract has an arm of professional development where we host professional seminars. We have, we recently actually did something with Ministry of Labor where are you aware of this?
Yes, I am.
So last Saturday we hosted a professional development session where we taught young people about your LinkedIn profile, how to update that. Miss Andrea King was a part of that too.
Yes.
Updating your LinkedIn profile. Is it updated? Speaking right now, is your LinkedIn profile updated? Everybody here? Is your LinkedIn profile updated?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, we talked about that. We spoke about resumes, how to operate in an interview, how do you speak, how do you prepare for an interview. So those are the sessions we want to build for young people because we realize that whilst we grew up in Caribbean homes, we grew up in homes that not everybody has that corporate job. A lot of us came from homes that our mom are housewives or parents are not that in corporate jobs. I came from a home like that. So, these places are where we go out there to network. Rotaract will take me places that I have never been before. And it wasn't a career that got me here. It was Rotaract that got me to sit in a panel like this, to have discussions like this. So I'm grateful for Rotaract and building my capacity. And it helps you to develop yourself. And coming on to HR now, some of the things that we look for in HR interviews, when you come into an interview, how you dress. Young people need to know how to dress for an interview. I commend some of them really good.
Yeah.
They came out
They
well.
come in a short jack and so.
Yeah, they come on, like you, well dressed.
Yeah.
But then, when you come to an interview, you need to dress well. How you speak, how you carry yourself. What you say about people, what you say about the previous jobs that you've entered to. I know people like to come in and speak bad about their last workplace, but how you represent yourself is what we look for. Your soft skills, while your resume might be pitch perfect, it might be everything that we're looking for. But how do you present yourself is what we look for as well, because you represent a company.
Yeah.
You represent who you are. You're your brand. So we also want to know how you're going to represent our company. When you stand there and you speak for either Ministry of Labor or JCI or Rotaract or Massey or any company you work for, you're representing that company. So how are you doing it? How are you actually standing up? How you speak? How you carry yourself, the way you dress, what you say about who you are. That's what we're looking for. So it's not just about your qualifications. All well and good you have them. We love to see a good qualification. But it also speaks about how you carry yourself, your soft skills, and that is what matters most. Yeah. And that is where places like Rotaract and JCI comes into play. It helps you. So that is my take on it.
Really good. Minister Griffith, by the way, big up the Ministry of Labor and stuff for doing that stuff. Big up the ministry. When you look at careers in Guyana and obviously further afield too, but particularly in Guyana, what are some areas as Minister of Labor and Manpower Planning that you see that young people should be paying a little more attention to in terms of charting their direction in that way?
Well, I continue to say that young people are living in the most fortunate period of Guyana's history. There are literally opportunities everywhere. And I have to commend a lot of young people for charting their own course, breaking the ceilings and so on. A lot of young people are establishing businesses You go in every room, you're seeing a young person at the decision-making table and so on. So that is a good thing about our young people. It also signals their confidence in what they're seeing, what it is that the government is trying to achieve in terms of the sustainable development of the economy and so on. So that's a good thing. If there is one thing I think our young people can tap into a little more, I would say is Guyana's green economy. When you consider the story of Guyana's green economy and the fact that Guyana is the only country in the world that is self-sufficient in terms of food production, I think young people have an explosive opportunity not only to try to feed Guyana or to feed your community, but of course you can consider agriculture and production at an export level. And so if there is one desire for me, I wish our young people would consider it's agriculture. We have a lot of land, as you know. I would love to hear some successful stories coming out of the Guyana Development Bank of young people going to the bank to establish a farming enterprise or to turn their small farming business into an enterprise so that they can capitalize on everything there is to be offered in the green economy. So please, my young people, do not sleep on Guyana's green economy.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep. Rickwan, in sport, it's an interesting dimension where people are functioning, particularly here in Ghana.
I want to be like that.
But you've been able to go overseas and in the
is.
collegiate level. What are some things that you have learned over that period that you think young people here, in those that want to have a real sustainable career in sports, that they can develop here too, for their own lives and for their own advancement as swimmer, athletic, track star, whatever?
Yeah, I think that it's really important that, you know, our athletes remain disciplined, as I said before, and I think it's, you know, a big deal when you go to a championship level meet like the CAC Games or Commonwealth Games, and I think that it's important that, you know, our young people do represent Guyana at high levels, and I think that helps Guyana get on the map more, and I would love to see it more. I just want to be one of the first stories to do so. I spoke to Chelsea and, you know, and a couple others actually about this exact same topic, about, you know, where can we get our athletes, how can we be role models for them so that they can be successful, not just in sport, but in life as well, because sport translates so much into real life activities. And I've learned that in the past couple of years. I think that's my major takeaway, is that sport translates so much into real life. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, decisions that you have to make, and, you know, tough conversations that you have to make in this sport and in sport in general. And I think that it's really important that, you know, kids take that away from it.
Yeah, as we begin to wrap up our conversation too here, Nikhil, there's a lot happening, and there are a lot of young people who, like we spoke about before, may not be sure as to whether or not they should continue along a particular path or they should shift into some direction. You've been committed to medicine for quite some time. What is your one key piece of advice for that young professional who is heading along that medical journey, is encountering difficulties? What would be your one key piece of advice to them?
First of all, I want to apologize. I don't know where my manners are. I forgot to wish happy International Youth Day.
You're good. You're good, man. You're good. We did it for you.
I'll forgive him. But what I would say, apart from perseverance, what I would get, the main piece of advice would be to challenge yourself, to take the risk. Look, listen, apply for that course, register for that summer course. Wake up early and go see that patient early, and whether it's in the hospital or whether it's in the clinic. And what I want, above all, because at the end of the day, you can put all the hard work in, but setbacks happen, shortcomings happen. And when you fail, not if, when, you pick up the pieces and you start again. Because you need to understand that failure should not be seen as the closing of one door, but as an opportunity to introspect, an opportunity to provide that necessary reflection to yourself. So you can pick up the pieces, pick up all the lessons that you need to learn so that you can start again. Because, my friend, that is the process of becoming. In a way, I am still becoming.
Yeah. Let me go to this end. Gavin, there are still some young people who are unsure, right? They don't not sure about whether or not they should continue or not. What would be your one key piece of advice to those young people?
So I think I'll concur with Virgil. Be committed, know the plan, and again, he did share that failures will come. I did share my story. Imagine if I would have said, you know what, maybe a technician is all for me because I didn't have the CXC, I didn't have the experience or whatever they were looking for. But today, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but from that perseverance, that passion, I'm actually currently reading for my PhD. Hadn't I, have that passion or that commitment to know what I want, then I wouldn't be here, at this level serving. I mean, in professional healthcare setting, but I'm also quite everywhere. People often ask me, how do you do it all? But it's all about perseverance, commitment, and knowing that plan. Like, have that passion. And I think you said it rightly earlier. Don't just give up on the first, obstacle that you might find.
Yeah. Marissa, what would be that thing you'd encourage somebody to do in the next couple of weeks if they're at that place right now?
If you're in that place, go after what you want. I believe if you want something, just go after it. If you know that's what you're set for, there's nothing like I can't do it. You see a job you want to apply for, you don't have the qualifications, go after it. Take a chance in yourself because only you will do it. So take a chance in yourself, go after what you want, do what you want. Nobody can say you can't do it. You can do anything you want, anything you put your mind to. So that's my advice.
Mr. Griffith, finally, there are those young people too who may be looking at us right now that, there are some people, and y'all can agree or disagree with me, there are some people that it seems as if they live in a bubble where they're not sure about the opportunities that are available for one reason or the other. What advice would you give to those young people to come out of that bubble and to really see Guyana for what it is, for where it is, and for the opportunities that are available?
Oh, wow. So every Guyanese by now, at least every young person should know about the transformation that has taken place in Guyana. If you're not hearing about it, just go outside and take a look. Just take a look. If not, just take a bus, Route 42 bus, a bus, and go to the airport, and you will see development that we're talking about. Young people must decide for themselves what should their role be in all of this development, because there is a role for young people. And many persons may be asking a question, how can I get involved in all of this? And my advice to those persons, you have to, because you may be seeking an opportunity, but opportunity requires preparation. And so this is the time for our young people to learn a skill, to get upskilled or to get reskilled, and see how you can fit yourself into all that's happening in this transformation. And now, to get a skill is almost easy. Literally, there are so many opportunities in terms of skills development being offered through the Ministry of Labor and Manpower Planning, the Board of Industrial Training, the Board of Industrial Training. So it's an agency that is playing a very, very major role in supplying workforce development, but also encouraging young people to become young entrepreneurs and establish their own businesses. So now a young person could get involved and get training for free to become a plumber, a welder, to operate a heavy duty machine, to do garment construction, cookery, AC reconfiguration and technician, electrical installation, all of these things for free. When you learn a skill, there's absolutely no one that can take it away from you. And I want to end with saying this. You spoke about soft skills earlier. So our qualification, all of our qualifications got us into a room, and qualifications will continue to get people into rooms. What will keep you in the room is a good attitude.
That's tough.
It's hard for some people, And if you don't want to have a good attitude, especially as a young person, you may be asked to leave the room. But the kind of Guyana that we are building right now, you will not be able to survive with just your qualifications. You have to have soft skills, discipline, be hardworking, be able to have emotional intelligence, to work with people. These are all things I believe our young people need to draw down on more in 2026 and beyond.
Ladies and gentlemen, lady and gentlemen, I think that has brought us to the end of our conversation. I want to thank all of you for spending this time with us, for us to really just have a conversation amongst ourselves, but with young people, to share whatever advice we could have with them. Once again, happy International Youth Day to you wherever you are. My name is Shaquan Gill. Goodbye for now.